Thanks for tuning in to leftcoastnews.net. News and information from the wacky, sometimes communist, liberal west coast of the United States. For more, visit leftcoastnews.net.
Welcome back to Left Coast News, where we report from behind the wacky, liberal, sometimes borderline communist lines of the west coast of the United States. And today, buckle up. Because Washington State yet again has decided that your safety, your tax dollars, and your values are negotiable. And they're negotiating them away. Today we're breaking down 3 stories that all tie into a single theme: the complete collapse of accountability in Washington State, a system that protects institutions, not citizens, and a political class that refuses to admit it's failing. Let's get into it. Washington gave nearly 700 commercial truck drivers licenses to people who weren't legally allowed to have them. You heard that right. For 7 years, not 7 days, not 7 months, Washington State issued 685 commercial driver's licenses to people who never qualified for them. Many were non-citizens who do not meet federal requirements. We're talking about licenses to operate a 40-ton semi-truck and school buses, and King County Metro buses, and other Metro buses throughout the state. The biggest machines on the road. This scandal didn't come to light because Washington suddenly discovered standards. It came out because a driver, Harjinder Singh, who never should have received a CDL, allegedly made an illegal U-turn in Florida and killed 3 innocent Americans. This wasn't just a clerical error. This wasn't, oops, someone misfiled a form. This was the system failing at its most basic job, protecting the public. This is because Washington has activists in every government agency who feel like they know better, and they're going to do this or that for whatever classification of people is at their buzzword for the week. Federal Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy called it a blatant breakdown in responsibility, and he's right. Washington didn't just break protocol, Washington broke federal law repeatedly for 7 straight years. And now the feds are threatening to withhold highway funding. Let's be crystal clear. This is what happens when ideology replaces competence, which there is very little of in the state agencies in Washington. Washington's bureaucracy has spent years obsessed with equity audits, DEI workshops, sanctuary state virtue signaling, and restorative everything, but apparently nobody had time to verify whether someone is eligible to drive a semi-truck. Because why follow federal law when you can follow political fashion? This state bends over backwards to accommodate non-citizens, but when it comes to protecting citizens, taxpayers, families, the people funding this entire circus, it utterly collapses. 7 years, nearly 700 illegal CDLs, hundreds of thousands of miles driven, countless lives put at risk. Washington didn't discover an error, Washington got caught. And this is exactly what you get when your leaders treat border laws, immigration laws, and public safety laws as optional. And this couldn't come at a better time for this accident that just happened in the Auburn area, where an illegal alien truck driver, who of course the media doesn't talk about that, ran over another car. Ran over a car, killed the occupant. The guy didn't even try to slow down or stop, according to State Patrol. Killed the driver of the car. This guy's not supposed to have a CDL. And what happens when he's arrested and booked? The judge sets his bail at $100,000. So that means he had to pay a bail bondsman $10,000 to get out. And he's out. That's insane. This guy killed somebody, and some judge sets his bail for $100K. And do you think he's going to stick around? Do you think the family is going to get any justice? Does any court or judge in this state care about victims? Do politicians in this state care about victims? They do not. You repeatedly see this week after week, story after story. They care about criminals. They care about illegals. They care about people that are sucking off the government teat, and that is it. All right. Now we're going to talk about Thurston County's budget meltdown. And this is a story playing out in countless counties across the state, but we're going to focus on Thurston County. A $23.8 million deficit, but somehow government keeps growing. Thurston County, the capital of the state, is in financial freefall, like many of these blue counties and cities and the state overall. County leaders admit this was not an easy year. Well, it's never an easy year when you spend like a drunken legislature and then act surprised when the bill comes due. Thurston County was staring down a $23.8 million deficit for 2025, and the 2026-27 forecast looked even worse. Why? Why, may you ask? Because expenses keep climbing while the county refuses to cut anything meaningful. Instead, they proposed a 26% slash to the general fund, panicked, and then massaged it down to $9.8 million cut, mostly by finding more revenue. And where do you think that revenue comes from? You, the taxpayer, always. But here's the kicker, the part no one in Olympia or local government wants to admit. When government makes budget mistakes, the first departments on the chopping block are always law enforcement, prosecutors, and courts. Public safety, always. The sheriff's office, the prosecuting attorney's office, and the juvenile court took the largest cuts in the final budget. Even though the sheriff's department is hiring more deputies right now thanks to the public safety sales tax, the facts remain. The county had no plan. The county overspent for years, and when money got tight, they threatened to cut public safety first. Meanwhile, every failed social program, every pet project, every layer of bureaucracy remains untouched. Isn't it fascinating that the sheriff's office, the people actually enforcing the law, the same law Washington refuses to follow when handing out CDLs, ends up on the chopping block? This is where the pattern emerges. The state allows unsafe drivers on the road, the county cuts law enforcement budgets, and the same political class pretends it's all a coincidence. Washington State doesn't have a funding problem. Washington State has a priorities problem. They prioritize ideology. They prioritize bureaucracy. They prioritize growing government and spending your tax money, your hard-earned tax money. But public safety, your safety, that gets whatever scraps are left. Now this last story, also from Thurston County, the capital, the seat of the state, this one blows my mind. This one is absolutely insane. Tumwater teacher is refusing a conservative student. A non-binary 5th grade teacher claims a conservative child, 5th grader. Can a 5th grader even be conservative or liberal? We're talking about this kid's parents, not the kid. But this non-binary, mentally ill 5th grade teacher claims a conservative child is a safety threat. I don't even know where to begin with this bullshit, right? This lady should be fired. She should not be a teacher. This is absolute insanity, but we're headed down this road. A 5th grade teacher, self-identified gender non-binary, going by MX TJ Thornton, refused to teach a 10-year-old boy because his parent is a conservative school board member. Not because the student misbehaved, not because the student said anything offensive, not because of any disciplinary issue. No. The teacher said the child created safety concerns simply because his family does not support LGBTQIA plus ideology. This teacher went further. They actually requested that the district create a policy to prevent placing students from conservative families in their classroom. Let me repeat that in case you missed it. The teacher requested that the district create a policy to prevent placing students from conservative families in their classroom. Let's call this what it is. It's discrimination, open, blatant, political discrimination against a child, a 10-year-old kid, a child who has done nothing wrong. This is the same education establishment that claims schools must be inclusive, every student deserves a safe learning environment, identity should never affect opportunity, unless you're a conservative, unless your parents believe in traditional values, unless you don't worship at the altar of Washington State's sanctioned gender ideology. This story proves something huge. The culture war is not theoretical, it's not online, it's not just political, it's happening to real kids in real classrooms right now. A teacher in Washington State openly argued that conservative families pose a safety threat. Not criminals, not violent offenders, not the hundreds of people released early by failed prosecutors, but conservative families. And the most infuriating part, there will be no consequences because Washington's education system agrees with them. This is why parents are pulling their kids out. This is why homeschooling is exploding. This is why private schools have wait lists. Washington schools are no longer centers of learning. They are political indoctrination centers. And now, apparently, they're screening kids by ideology. 3 stories. 3 failures, 1 theme. Washington's leadership has abandoned accountability. They hand out illegal CDLs for 7 years. They mismanage public budgets and threaten public safety. And they allow teachers to blacklist conservative children. This isn't mismanagement anymore. This is intentional. This is the natural outcome of replacing competence with ideology, law with activism, and responsibility with excuses. Well, here's the good news. People are waking up, hopefully. Taxpayers are fed up, parents are stepping in, federal agencies are finally applying pressure. And here at Left Coast News, we're not going anywhere. We will continue exposing the stories that mainstream media buries, because this is still our state. This is still our country. And patriots don't surrender ground, we take it back. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to check out leftcoastnews.net for updates, videos, thumbnails, and full reports. Stay sharp, stay free, stay American.